it's time. That's right. It's time for Against the Spread.
Let's go ahead and start it over. Let's go ahead. No editing. Let's just start it over. No editing.
Do it again.
Just leave it there so that people can feel your shame and we can all sink into it. And then we'll just start over.
That's time, folks. It's the spread.
Let's try it again.
And it's brought to you by...
Try it again.
No, let's look, your father's ashamed.
Take 3.
Yeah, let's try this again. Again, leave all of this in. Do not edit it under any circumstances.
That's right. It's time for Against the Spread.
I just heard Stugots whisper to Chris, do Thursday Thunder. Do Thursday Thunder.
And it's brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you're going to hear all about DraftKings and how all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Please,
I think you
Lucy,
got that wrong too. No, I think we
Greg, did you do homework with Chris as a kid?
No, obviously.
It shows.
Yeah.
Child left behind. All right, so for my Against the Spread, I'm sorry, Chris, I felt mean saying
You
that.
said you're good at this. I think we need to have Lucy's picks now. If you're alleging to people that you can make them money.
Now I'm going to be bad at it because you've put all this pressure
You
on
put
me.
pressure on it by saying you were good at it.
Yeah, I just hoped you wouldn't follow up. Just kind of hoped you'd forget about it.
He never does.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. See, if I told you, you would forget about it too.
I would.
He would start calling you all the time and making those bets. Are you kidding? Do you know how many times he's
shocked
done that?
hasn't happened because it hasn't happened this much this season, but Chris Cody would text me every Saturday of last year.
I've been texting Mina on this front for Mina and Mike for about 3 years.
Well, don't text me. I'm busy on Saturdays. I have to work. You know how that goes.
That's honestly, I almost texted you this past Saturday, but it was like right when I know you're out there like getting content. I'm just like, I'm not going to be that guy that's like, hey, give me your winners. You're out working right now. Give me the winners.
Lucy, can you give us a winner?
Oh, yes. So for my Against the Spread this week, I'm taking Pitt -3 at UNC against the spread. Pitt's 4-0. And shocking enough, they're going like anti-Narduzzi and they're scoring points. And I don't think, I'm so sorry, Taylor, it can be overstated how bad UNC football is this year. They are terrible. They blew a 20-point lead against Duke, the rival this weekend. They are awful. It's going to be a home game. There aren't going to be a lot of fans there. I'm taking Pitt. Undefeated Pitt Panthers. Against the spread. Against the spread.
For my Against the Spread, I'm going to take the fighting Texas Aggies against Mizzou. Mizzou's still good, but I don't think they're as good as last year, and now it kind of feels like Coach Elko's scheme, especially defensively, is starting to take shape over at Texas A&M. You know, I was a big Connor Wegman guy, but I don't think you can go back to Connor Wegman. Talk to some people around the program, but you can't take Reed out right now. Lavian Moss, fully online in the last game. A bit of a grinder against Arkansas, but I think Coach Elko and that home field advantage will be enough for the 12th man. I'm going Texas A&M against the spread.
I thought that Lucy and Mike alleged last year that Mizzou was doing NIL better than most, and that they had help from the state, and that Mizzou would be in the playoffs this year because of how they had reinvented themselves.
Well, that was last year. There was a court injunction basically saying that the NCAA couldn't really act on any injunctions that they had on NIL, and Tennessee's also doing it quite well. Mizzou, they were first to the market with having that kind of setup, and they reap the benefits, and they still do. They still are recruiting at a high level, but the advantages have kind of dissipated some.
I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins +1 at the New England Patriots. I know what you guys are thinking. Last night did not look good for the Dolphins and Tyler Huntley. He had, 96 yards. Not super efficient, but the Patriots haven't been much better, Dan. The Patriots' last 3 games, they've scored 13, 3, and 20 points. Their only win of the season, they scored 16. This is not a team that can put up a lot of offense. And with Tyler Snoop Huntley in there, I feel like things might click. Give them a little extra time to work things out. Also, here's the thing. When you go up to Foxborough, this is the time of year to do it. It's going to be a high of 69, a low of 50, only 6% chance of precipitation, and winds moving 7 miles per hour east-northeast. So, not a bad day for football, Fall has arrived in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and so will the Miami Dolphins against the spread.
You are actively committing a crime against our audience by making them think about or watch that football game.
If I have to, they do, yeah.
That's a low bar. 16 points wins the game.
Yeah.
What is the over-under in Patriots Dolphins? That's going to be in the
35.5.
30s.
Crazy. That's insane.
I mean, it is insane given where it is we were with the Dolphins, I don't know, 7-8 games ago. That is the wheels falling off of the vehicle.
They would score 35 points a game by themselves.
Stugots.
70 in one game.
Do you realize that the thing that's happening with the Dolphins that makes me do things like say the season is over and they built it all wrong is, and especially when you guys are saying they're not big enough or they're a finesse team, they've built a Ferrari, and when the spark plug gets taken out, it's such a vehicle of the way that it's supposed to work with its parts. The vehicle is built fragilely, but
Dan explains
Let's not do a
cars
car
without knowing
analogy,
anything
yeah.
about cars.
No car would work without a spark plug.
Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, let's
give him a chance. Let it play out here.
Keep going with. All right, Bob Vila, take it away.
if you take out a spark plug, next thing you know, it seems like the brakes and the steering wheel don't work because the car just ends up in a ditch or doesn't turn on. Nothing works.
I got a better one. Let me do this better.
Is the spark plug that important?
We have
I
a
don't-
Lamborghini, and only Tua knows how to drive stick shift. What? Everyone else just is trying.
Is the car automatic or manual in this
aren't-
analogy?
Stick shift.
Yeah, I think aren't all.
I know. Well, he's
Lamborghinis?
the only one that knows how to drive it, but is this Lamborghini a stick shift?
It's a stick shift. Yeah, he's the
Okay.
only one. That
I think Chris's analogy is better than mine, especially because I don't know about cars and I don't have any idea what the spark plug situation
I mean, your
is.
car could
on
be
a
fine if
Ferrari.
you lose a spark
You
plug.
need a spark plug to turn it on. So without the spark plug, nothing.
I need a
would work.
jump.
You understand what I'm saying when I
No.
say, though, that you have a vehicle and it feels like the brakes and the steering wheel don't work the moment that one little glitch is off.
I had a car that every time you opened up the sunroof, it caused a fuse to blow, and then my car would randomly shift into park in the middle of me driving. Is that a good
That's what's
analogy?
happening.
That's a
That's
good
what's
one.
That
happening.
feels right. Also, the driver's side window didn't roll down, so I went through the drive-thru. I had to open the door.
Oh, the worst.
What about,
Wow.
what about the chassis?
So embarrassing.
So two is a sunroof.
yeah.
What's the chassis?
Greg, you owe $5 for your phone pinging there again.
didn't know it did.
Yeah, it did because it always does because you don't know how to turn
Yeah,
it
Gary
down.
the Bag Rosenfeld texting me.
That can't be true.
No, it is.
Get back to him.
What do you say?
Last night while watching, I was chanting at the TV, "We want Stofa."
Classic bag.
Reference John Stofa, a Dolphins quarterback in 1968.
Gary the Bag, we all met him and got cornered by him at Greg Cody's 70th birthday party. And
Stood up and waved when we mentioned him in his speech. It was
Oh,
funny.
1430 Gary the Bag?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know it.
And you do know it. Thank you.
The Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody is Greg Cody's podcast. He wants it promoted every time he is on here. But before we promote that, Greg's been mad today, and he's been mad since last week, Stugots, because he just said to me during the break, he's like, hey, I've got some trepidation about asking you this, but promote my podcast, okay? And I'm like, well,
I
why?
asked you. I didn't say it quite that forcefully. I mean,
You said you had trepidation.
right. Yeah. After last week. Yeah.
About me promoting your podcast or asking me to promote your podcast after last week when you were trying to say something heartfelt about your wife and I continually played with the microphone.
Sure.
So you're mad about that, and you're still mad about that because he says, I got a memory like an elephant, is what he
Right.
says. I don't let go of things
He's
like
I'm
that.
getting over it.
He said on the Greg Cody Show that's as mad as he's ever been with you, which I called BS on.
I mean, he gets mad at me a lot, and I understand it.
He had every right to be mad.
I'm apologizing all the time to Stugots and Greg because of how we do this, because I often...
Is that Dan's?
Classic bag.
He's just going to keep texting you because it went off again, and now you're
Let me
not
turn off
even
my
hearing.
phone.
What
it.
did you
don't-
respond
Yeah,
back?
what did you
that
say
she
to the bag?
I
responded?
didn't yet. I mean,
Oh,
give me-
what's
Right,
the bag
give him
up to now?
Give
Yeah.
him a second.
Tell him I said hello.
Hold on.
I've,
Yeah, I don't know.
He's
what I
working.
said.
I've never
I'm
met
gonna
him,
turn
but-
it off right now.
What was that
No,
last
no, don't
ding?
do that.
Yeah.
What was that
This
last
is
thing?
like
I'm
this
turning
is
it
so
off.
peak.
What did the
like, he
bag
has no
send to
idea
you?
how to-
I'm terrified to have it ping again.
Dad,
That-
we're asking
We
what
want
that
the
last thing was.
communication.
It
Yeah.
wasn't from him, so I don't know what it is.
Who was it from?
I don't know.
Oh.
But you control that.
You sent it back? I mean,
It's astonishing. You don't know how to put your phone on vibrate, so your move is just to turn it off.
Was it
That's what he
Radke?
did last time. He turned
right
my
here.
phone off for me and threw it across the
There's
room.
a little thing right here.
Luckily, it landed on a
Greg,
sofa.
I
Just
did
flip
that
it.
because I keep turning it down and you turn it back up. So I just turned it off and got you owe $10, by the way, in
Yeah.
fines.
All right, let me get right on that.
You
heck
should
of an
pay them.
apology. I mean, jeez.
Pay them. That helmet's getting pulled in the bucket, and no one's actually paying their fines anymore, and it makes it just like a horrible thing.
Amin
because-
Amin for the first time ever last week opted with the swap helmet to take the instant death and the fine bucket from Mike. It was an all-time moment, historic. Some are saying unhistoric moment.
But there's no
Historic.
money in there. Jesse's
No, there was
been getting-
$10.
$10. He did it for
He basically
$10.
yeah accepted a loss for $10.
I have 10 here, but I can't give it because I need to save 5 for the valet.
That's
And,
fair.
In fact,
That's nice of you.
I was going to ask if someone could break a 10.
You're gonna give a 5 to the valet, huh? Is it
Well,
Christmas?
his son shames him. It's Chris telling him Mas. It's not Christmas. It's because
Begrudgingly, he gives 5.
It's Chris Cody telling his father, "You don't give $1 and $2 anymore to a valet. You got to give $5 because inflation."
Right, but if the valet spends 8 minutes getting my car, $2, 8, 7
Yeah,
in an
2,
hour,
7.
he's getting $14 an hour.
Yeah.
which
The
really
idea
isn't
of
that
you
bad.
going out of your way to break a 10, though, is ridiculous. Like,
Why?
just give him the 10.
It says the big spender.
Oh, I don't think I give him the 10.
Get your
there.
5
I
back.
think you- I
I'm-
think you
you're
get
gonna
your
go
change.
get change. So, like, I'm with you. 5 is plenty. I'm not saying I give 10, but if I only have a 10, I'm not gonna drive somewhere to break it.
You're well within your rights to ask them if they can break it.
That's true.
No, you don't do that.
No, you can.
That's
Yeah,
awful.
they
Don't do
Who
that.
has
a
more
little
cash than a
tacky.
valet driver?
I think I gave someone a 20 once because I'm not going to ask for
Yeah, that's a
change
little
from a
tacky.
valet driver.
also ask them for
I
their Venmo.
refuse to.
I am
Yeah,
laughing.
Venmo, that's my
Venmo.
move.
Yeah, but
my
that's
move.
the lie. That's what you ask and then you don't pay. That's a lie.
I do pay it though.
I mean, we love Venmo, don't get me wrong.
Proud sponsor.
Yep.
Saying that out loud, so you all know that.
You
You know, you can get
guys-
you get $30 DK dollars if you transfer $100 into your DraftKings daily fantasy account using Venmo first-time users. Just throwing that out there.
You guys
fun
are
aside.
so busy, self-involved talking, thinking yourselves wacky. You didn't notice that Stugotz just stole $5. Like it happened It happened right in front of your eyes. That
didn't see
Stugotz
it.
traded a 10 for 5.
He's stealing a lot more than that today.
And you guys didn't even notice that he put in his pocket that Stugotz just made $5
broke
right
a
in
10.
front of you because
Yeah.
you're so afraid
welcome.
back there that we're going to insult Venmo by accident that nobody's noticing that Stugotz is actively stealing money right in front of your eyes.
I broke his 10 with 5 singles.
There you go.
How about that?
You're welcome.
He still has no idea.
Anyway, as I was saying, Stugotz, put that $10 back on the table. You were offering him $5.
Wait.
Put it in.
I owe you $5.
Oh, you owe me
you
5.
owe. Yeah, you owe exactly right.
You
owe.
actually owe me 8.
Yeah, no, you owe Stugotz $5 if I remember correctly.
I gave him $3 last week for the
Exactly
valet
right.
driver,
Did
so
you?
now you owe me 8.
So
yes.
you gave
All right,
Stugotz a 10.
Yeah.
Stugotz gave you 5 singles back, and now you owe Stugotz $5.
Memory like a steel trap, that
8.
guy.
Yep.
Okay.
Any more?
Back to you, Dan.
I owe you. We'll just put that on the table.
Any more? Just like get it all out so that I can continue the show now. Just keep doing whatever it is you want to do for as long as you want to do it, and tell me when I can have the show back.
We should print more money.
You did say that
Then
before.
you can get Tyreek Hill on the Chiefs.
Yes, you could. What if you want to play some more? What if? Do you have? What is the
do
worst
I?
mistake ever made? What did we get? Did we come up with something that suggests that there's a worst mistake ever
Sam
made?
Bowie.
Ford
Because
Edsel.
that can't be the worst mistake ever
Ford
made.
Edsel was an infamously bad car.
He offered Chernobyl as a nominee. You're going
I
to
got
say
the
that-
Edsel.
My blonde hair.
Yeah, Lucy's blonde hair.
Lucy,
was
can we
not
get a
good.
picture of that?
I'll see if I can find one.
Was that when you were at the ESPYs?
That was,
Yeah.
but it was just bad. It wasn't even blonde. It was brassy. It was a terrible look, and somebody should have pulled me aside and said, "Don't do that."
So Greg Cody is mad at me from last week, and we have now promoted the podcast, The Greg Cody Show, featuring Greg Cody.
I'm getting over it.
But there's also something else that he was upset about from last week, which is that he never got to do his Lobos update. He got mad again today because we hard networked outed him. So he's a little bit agitated. He stormed out of the studio last week. But now the mayor of Albuquerque, evidently, is a big listener to the show. I wonder if this happens to you guys almost everywhere you go, because I don't know what your fame looks like when you travel. But if we go just about anywhere, I think there will be one or two people in some place that listens to our show. Like that it just happens weirdly. It's not a cavalcade of people, but like randomly you'll find that the mayor of Albuquerque is fired up because Greg Cody has been wounded by his Lobos update not getting to be done. So what happened with the mayor of Albuquerque?
Yeah, Albuquerque, of course, is the home city of the New Mexico Lobos, which were named after Greg's Lobos, a lot of people know. And the Lobos, everybody talks about Georgia, Alabama as the game of the week. It wasn't. New Mexico played at New Mexico State in a storied rivalry. The Lobos were 0-4. They go into New Mexico State and win their first game of the season 50-40. Why'd they win? Because the mayor of Albuquerque, Tim Keller, chanted, "We are the Lobos," the most golden 3 words in all of sports. And that inspired the team, evidently. And so...
We are the Lobos. The Lobos. The Lobos. We are the Lobos. We are the Lobos. But I think I just want to begin with the Lobos. We are the Lobos.
So basically, they made the mayor just say the phrase, "We are the Lobos," and some guy took the sound and chopped it up and put it in.
Okay. Yeah, they were it was disrespectful to the Lobos last week on this show, and someone in the mayor's office let the mayor know that, hey, we need to make this right.
Let's put up a photo of the mayor here so we could see what it is that he's got going on, because
Tim Keller.
Yeah, he's very serious about his football. Is he wearing shoulder pads or just a shirt that looks like it has shoulder pads?
It's just
I
a
have no
football
idea.
jersey, sans pads.
The Lobos. The Lobos.
Yeah, mayor since 2007. He must be doing something else right. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But something else about the Greg Cody Show podcast I want to say real quickly, and this is in all honesty. I heard about a listener of our show who climbed,
And the LeBatard Show.
who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro wearing a Greg Cody Show hat. And I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. So we had him on the show, and it turns out climbing Mount Kilimanjaro is the least interesting thing about this guy, because he lost his mother to a brain tumor. He himself is a cancer survivor, and he's got multiple sclerosis. He's climbing a mountain, the tallest mountain in Africa, with MS. So this guy's a truly inspiring story.
And the only reason my dad wants to talk about it is because he was wearing a Greg Cody Show hat.
Exactly.
The most
Correct.
impressive thing
Zagak.
about the feat, that is correct.
Yeah.
The most impressive thing is that now a Greg Cody hat has been at the top of Mount
Yes.
Kilimanjaro.
It's never been done before.
And I think it's the hat that says Greg Cody is for lovers.
Damn right
inexplicably.
he is.
If he had all those same elements but didn't have the hat on, would you still be talking about him?
No,
Probably
not at all.
Other people have done it, just no one else has done it with a Greg Cody
Yeah.
hat.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Shout out Matt.
Tallest mountain in Africa.
You mentioned that. Put it on the
Almost
poll,
20,000
please,
feet.
at LeBatard Show. Greg Cody is for lovers, yes or no?
Switching gears real quick.
eBay.
I was keeping an eye on that is another car analogy. I was keeping an eye on what was going on across the street.
Were you?
Is it? I know he showed up, and he was all business. Jimmy Butler dressed up as Jimmy Butler, but
He was late to business.
Yeah.
that's kind of a bad sign. No,
Is there
am I
anyone,
reading too much into that?
Is there anyone that's like the definition of heat culture that actually fits heat culture less than Jimmy Butler, just showing up whenever he wants, coming and having costume parties as he pleases, playing when he feels like it? Like, it
Yeah.
seems like we're being talked into this is the most heat culture player ever, while also he doesn't follow any of the defined parameters of heat culture.
To answer your question, Michael Beasley.
No costumes this week, though.
Because he ran out of time.
He was just late.
I think he's trying to, the whole contract situation. I don't think he's playing games this year.
Made me think that maybe someone said something.
Let me ask you guys a question, because when he just said what he said, the whole contract situation, I don't think he's playing games this year. I don't know whether he meant playing games in negotiations or whether he'll be playing basketball games this year. I don't even know which he meant, because this is a person, if he's unhappy with his contract situation, those contracts are guaranteed. And he's shown you he will make a mess. So if you want to publicly tell him to shut his mouth, when he's not playing, the way Pat Riley did. I don't think it's unreasonable, given that we've already seen him go at Spo in a way that Udonis Haslem had to step in the middle of, and that's when things were rosier. They have not gotten him enough help. Jimmy Butler would have reason to believe he's fallen well behind a Milwaukee team that he wouldn't be scared of, and a Boston team that he wouldn't be scared of.
And the Knicks.
And Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He did say all the right things yesterday. He was asked specifically about Riley's comments, and he said, I hear him, and that I'm preparing to play as many games as possible.
Quite honestly, and the Magic. Like, they are further and further away. This roster is worse than it was last year when it was pretty clear that they were far. Now, part of that was, yes, 100%. They haven't gotten him enough help for his entire time down here. But he wasn't helping things last year.
We can slow down with the Magic, though. I mean, come on. Caldwell Pope? I mean, what are we doing here?
What I'm doing is looking at the standings from last year and seeing that they were division champs and you weren't. And the fact that they have a young core that's going to be getting better. A superstar that is bought in that's going to be there and you can depend on him, whereas Jimmy Butler is now feuding with the GM and wasn't readily available and is, to anybody who follows the sport, past his prime.
Yeah.
Is he feuding with the GM? Can we say that flatly? Can we say flatly that he is feuding with the GM and isn't just late?
But,
you think that's a shot across? You think that's a shot across Riley's face?
I think that no, I don't. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. I'm just saying it's a bad start. And Jimmy said the right things yesterday. He could have made it messier. He did say a couple months ago that purple and gold uniform looks pretty good. And he also said that he's going to opt out. So he's had his moves. Pat did his public moves. So while it may not be an open blood feud, it's not like what's going on in Boston between Cam Neely and Swayman. It's still an ugly situation, and it's only going to get worse if the team isn't good because Jimmy Butler has a history that you alluded to. He can nuke a franchise if he's not getting his way.
And Miami has fallen to 6th or 7th in the East. They had a very sedentary offseason. They made no major moves. They got a couple of Jaquez and a couple of other. They have some young players who are developing. But, yeah, Jimmy Butler and Bam do not have enough help around them. And they're not competing right now for an NBA championship, that's for sure.
Indiana's better than them. We mentioned the standings last year. Orlando.
Don't laugh at the Magic.
No, like Orlando's better than them. Like
Chris was laughing though when
what
you
I'm
said Caldwell Pope. You're
right, no,
laughing
because
at them.
yesterday I was at Media Day and Ira did the thing of rattling off all the roster moves that the East made, and when he got to Caldwell Pope with the Magic, I was just like, all right, that's not the same as Paul George.
Caldwell Pope, like in a finals against the Heat, showed his value. Like he's a good piece. You said that they fall into 6th or 7th. That would be an upgrade over last year, and I don't see, unless you project Jaquez to take another leap, unless you expect some of these players on the roster to get better. And keep in mind, Duncan Robinson did improve last year. Unless you got like pretty substantive steps in their progression, this team is going to be once again battling in that play-in territory.
Let me ask you guys something about what happened yesterday that I'm curious about. I'm curious about what everyone in the room thinks of what I'm saying. Lucy was not here when the show started, but somebody writes in, I absolutely do not believe Dan when he says he has not checked the result of the Miami game since 3 seconds left on Friday night. I understand you guys need something to hook the listeners on Monday morning, but maybe don't lie through your teeth. I was not lying. I actively told Mike Ryan on Friday night that I was going to try to avoid finding out what the result of that game was because of the way my phone froze with 3 seconds left, and it took 12 minutes, and I did not know what happened.
I think people are objecting to the fact that from that time until the time you got here, the score didn't pop up on your phone.
But I was trying. Nothing. I was trying to avoid it. I was trying to avoid it to get in here Monday morning, and it was very hard to avoid. And Mike Ryan didn't think I was going to be able to avoid it, so I was actively not looking at televisions in my phone. That is a way to avoid it.
Were there any close calls?
Yes.
Did anyone at the music festival try to tell you, hey, go Canes, and you're like, la, 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 la.
No, I'll tell you what the close call was. The Pavlovian reaction I have when there's sports anywhere on a television in a bar that I've been doing for 40 years, and consciously or unconsciously, I'm like the cartoon that goes to the pie on the windowsill anytime that there's sports playing on a television.
Tell you every week to support Game Time. They've been a great partner of ours, and quite honestly, I don't just love them because they're a partner of ours. I love them because I use this all the time. Whenever I am searching through the secondary ticket marketplace, I know Game Time is the top of the heap. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't downloaded Game Time already, download it now and use the code DAN. That is DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download Game Time today. You get to see panoramic seat views from your seat, and you get unparalleled ticket coverage from Game Time. Chris Cody, what time is it?
Game time.
Speaking of great partners, All the Smokes, Matt Barnes will be on with us in a moment to talk about his interview with Kamala Harris and an assortment of other things. I want to get to Stugotz here and some of his Jets takes from yesterday because they were very emotional, and we basically have around here a lot of emotion around football. It's fairly amazing that given how the last 2 decades have gone, these teams can still do this to us, making people crazy when these teams haven't mattered in a long time going deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's the beautiful thing about the NFL. Each year, even though I've had 40 bad years, the next year is going to be the year. That's how you train yourself as an NFL fan. You've seen it happen with other teams.
But you're doing the same thing emotionally that we're doing today. It's not just merely the disappointment of your team, which a lot of people have. It's the inflated sense of hope that you had that you should know better than to have just because they give you a sprinkle of some promise of having quarterbacks that can play.
It's better to have hope and be disappointed than live a hopeless life.
You say that, but you're never disappointed if you reduce your expectations. If your expectations are in a reasonable place, you're less likely to get disappointed by things. I'm not saying it's a joyful way to live.
It's
but
miserable.
You get hurt less. You get hurt less.
You definitely do get hurt less. I remember my experience as a Browns fan when they had one win over the course of 2 seasons. Nothing could really break me. There was nothing to actually get my hopes up. But when they had Baker and Odell and Jarvis Landry and everybody was talking about them and they were talked about as much as the Cowboys were, I was living and dying with those results because I got fed hope, and it's the hope that kills you.
It is an interesting thing that happens all the time, Stugotz, because the Dolphins and the Jets should have knocked this out of us. And while you had the expectation...
Knock the hope out of us?
Yes, of course. It's been the entire century. But
right.
If you're somebody who expects, as you did last week, for the Jets to win by 3 touchdowns, which you rarely expect, and then they don't, what you end up getting mad at in the rain is that the Denver Broncos did to your offense the same thing they did to Baker Mayfield's offense when no one's done that to Baker Mayfield's offense all season.
Right.
The Broncos did the same thing to a very good offense the week before on the road as well, and you're not forgiving any of it. You're not giving the Broncos any credit for their defensive play. You're just crushing Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is something that you expect something from.
I saw Aaron Rodgers a week ago play a game at quarterback for the Jets, a game in which I've never seen a Jet quarterback play. And so, yeah, I'm blaming Aaron Rodgers. I'm not giving credit to the Denver Broncos. And, of course, fans are going to have hope because what you hope for, Dan, every year, did my team get it right? And you know who got it right? Washington got it right. They had hope headed into this season, and Washington has met their fans' hope.
By now, you've probably heard that Stain interviewed Donald Trump over the weekend, a dual Stain situation in the tunnel of the Alabama-Georgia game. Predictably, they were feeding each other talking points about murders and rapists coming across the border. You may have also heard that Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson interviewed Kamala Harris at her residency. And I think this question from Matt will tell you why it is she was doing this interview with all the smoke instead of the mainstream media. Let's play a clip from that interview, please.
I grew up Italian mom, black dad, and was always very proud of my heritage until an incident I had in high school when I was 17, protecting my little sister. Someone called her some names. I did what the big brother did. I ended up getting in trouble, and the KKK came and vandalized, nearly burned down my high school. And I knew at that point, although I was very proud to be Italian and black, that the world looked at me as a black man. Yeah. You've always been secure in your identity, who you are, but what do you feel or what do you think when you hear people kind of questioning just the fabric of who you are?
Well, one, I don't listen to it.
Okay.
I'm really clear about who I am, and if anybody else is not, they need to go through their own level of therapy. That's not my issue.
Their issues, right.
Matt Barnes joins us now. Matt, thank you for joining us. We are partners, obviously, with All the Smoke, and very proud of that partnership. How do you think that it went, Matt? I don't know. I don't know how self-critical you are. I don't know how confident you felt going into that situation. How do you feel like the whole thing went?
I think it went well, Dan. I think it was more of a conversation than an actual interview. I know people don't look to All the Smoke for political stories, political type of show. But, with this opportunity that presented itself, we weighed the pros and cons and just thought it would be a great opportunity to bring her into our world and sit down and have a real conversation with her. I mean, we touched on policy and different things, but at the end of the day, where we've been successful with All the Smoke is being able to make people feel comfortable enough to really open up and humanize them. And I think we were able to do that. And I hope that people learn more about the person. If you want to learn policy and hear her talk about how she's going to, with her plan or economic plan, there's other outlets for that. But that wasn't necessarily the goal when we put the plan together for this interview.
Were you nervous, Matt?
No, I thought it was just a great opportunity. You know what I mean? We prepped more than we normally prep. But I kind of felt like from a basketball standpoint, I was blessed every single night to guard the best players in the world. You know what I mean? So now I've crossed over into the media, and now I'm blessed to be able to interview some of the most special and entertaining and magical people in the world. So I just feel like this was a high-level conversation with a high-level person, and we hope that you got a chance to get to know her a little bit better.
How did it come to be?
A friend of mine, Chris Holliday, that I've known for a while, worked for the Obama administration. We do some business together. He told me at the end of last week, like, hey, I might be able to get you Kamala. Like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna do my work. And I was just like, all right. I didn't know if it was gonna happen or not. Then 2 days later, he hits me and tells me, hey, this is on a Sunday, like, hey, we're doing it Tuesday. I'm like, oh, okay. So I tell obviously the All Smoke team, we book flights, get there Monday, interview Tuesday, and I was back in LA Tuesday night.
So how does this work, though, in terms of giving her topics in advance? Because I, for example, journalistically, I don't think I would be comfortable with that, and it allows her to orchestrate her answers. But you are obviously not interested in anything in the way of gotcha, and you're also in the relationship business because you want this podcast to have enduring access that respects people. So how did you feel, or did you wrestle at all with the idea of giving her topics in advance?
I think what we did, we gave her a skeleton and outline of the direction the conversation wanted to go. And then literally we're making up questions right up until, we left in the car to go see her. So I think obviously we gave her, I gave her my pitch on how we wanted to have a good time. We wanted her fans to we wanted her, the country to get a chance to just know her a little bit better as a person. We touched on a lot of similarities, a step parent, biracial, mental health, and at the end of the day, Dan, she is a lifelong Warrior fan that just happens to be running for a presidency. So there's a lot of other similarities that we touched on. So again, yeah, like you said, we're not necessarily a got you type situation, but it wasn't to the T, like what exactly you're going to ask. We gave her a blueprint on just the way we wanted it to go, and they okayed it, and we went with it.
Were you comfortable pressing her on anything like her office overseeing 1,900 marijuana convictions during her time as DA?
So we wanted to get into the weeds of stuff, but we only had 30 minutes. We ended up going, I think, 45 minutes. I did want to because I've done my research, and although there was over 1,900 convictions, only 45 people went to state prison. And it wasn't just black, it was all ethnicity. So, I think there's a lot of stigmas out there that make people think like, oh, she's a terrible person, she's done this, done that, when she put a lot of programs together to help people, to rehabilitate people after they get out for low-level marijuana offenses. And this administration has also pardoned over 6,000 people and encouraged other senators across the country to do more, governors to do more, and they pardoned, a couple 100,000 people behind this. So, I did want to get in the weeds, but also, Dan, knowing my fan base and understanding that stuff is interesting to me, but it may not be interesting to our core audience. So it was really a thin line, and Jack and I went back and forth on, hey, should we do this? Jack had his reasons and concerns. I had I was thinking, and we really went back and forth, really up until the day we left. So this wasn't a clear cut like, hey, this is a tremendous opportunity. Let's go jump on it. Like, a lot of thinking went into this because we know who we are and what we stand for. And sometimes people don't want to see those mix, although I don't mind them mixing. It's not about me. It's about our fans.
Now, Matt, I think you were in her residence. I'm not certain if you made it over to the White House. I'm not even certain where her residence is, but did you smoke? That's all I care about. Did you smoke in the White House?
I did not, unfortunately, get to smoke in the White House, but if she wins, I was invited back, and I may try to sneak something in. I'm playing. I smoked before I went. You know what I mean? I pre-gamed as I was studying, as just like I was watching game film in the morning the day of the game. You know, I smoked as I was, going over my questions and, kind of summarizing the interview, and then I headed over.
Donald Trump next in the interest of equal opportunity?
I would definitely sit down with Trump. Obviously, I'd have to talk to the team and see what they think. But at the end of the day, it's about to get to know people better. And we fear or dislike what we don't know. You know what I mean? So these conversations that we are fortunate enough to have with Kamala and whoever else may continue to come across the board has never necessarily been centrally focused on their expertise. We've talked to the Will Smiths and the Kobe's, and we've touched on what they're great at. But our goal has always been, getting to know them better as people. So again, I think we definitely accomplished that with this interview, and we are thankful for the opportunity.
Let's get to some other things basketball related here. All the Smoke has a new book, All the Stars, All the Stories, No Apologies. All the stories, Matt?
The ones that are PG.
Mm-hmm. You got to save some stories for the second book, Matt. That's what you got to do. Right? So how do you play?
We got to kill this one, man. You only get one opportunity in this space, and we realize that. So, we're pushing the lines and trying to get our sales up. So, hopefully this will go well and gives us an opportunity to do another book.
The book comes out October 8th. You can pre-order it now. You got to tease people here, though, buddy. You got to sell it a little bit. Like, what? Give me something that's in there. Give me something that's in there that people haven't gotten from you guys before.
You can obviously get behind the scenes. There's 300 pages, but obviously, with some of our biggest guests and biggest interviews, some of just the stuff you may have missed or some of the stuff you didn't, you thought were amazing and you want to relive. We've had conversations and I don't say this arrogantly. I just feel like our guest list has been up there with any show. You know what I mean? So we have some amazing back and forth with some of the biggest stars in the world, and we just wanted to make that a memory and be able to share that. And what an honor to be the first podcast to get a coffee table book.
Matt, did the Knicks get better by acquiring Karl Anthony Towns?
Ooh,
that got you going.
This is the question. I think it depends on what cat they get. I'm a huge fan of Cat, but I think as talented and as skilled as he is, he settles a lot. And I think we saw that in the playoffs last year. I think when he mixes it up, he's a 3-level scorer, pretty much unguardable at his position. I think when he's that cat, you stretch the floor, you have a high IQ guy that is, an all-star. So, but I also, like, you guys know me, I'm a dog type dude, and Julius Randle was a dog, and DiVincenzo was a dog. So, to be able to lose that type of energy on your team may take a hit, but at the end of the day, I love Cat's talents, and I hope that he embraces this opportunity. Obviously with the Bridges pickup too. The Knicks are really on paper starting to put a team together. So only time will tell if this trade was a good trade or not. But from the outside looking in, as much as I love Julius Randle, I do like this trade for the Knicks and Cat getting a fresh start in New York.
You're not a hater, but when you use the verb settles, because you're someone, as you say, who likes the dogs, do you associate settles with weakness when he's that size?
It's a good question. I wouldn't say weakness. I would just say, him trusting in his game so much that he shot that shot 1,000 times that he thinks every time he shoots it's going in. And, he's a self-proclaimed greatest big shooter ever. So that's something I do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's around that 30, 38, 39, 40% from the three-point line. But at the end of the day, I just think with his talent, his ability to mix it up and not rely so heavily on the three is when he's at his best.
Can you give us someone, it doesn't have to be a name if you don't want to do that, but someone that you played against where you can sort of sense whatever it is that a dog senses when there's fear, or, that I'm saying not a human dog, I'm saying an actual dog can sense fear. When is it that you're playing and you can feel that someone doesn't really want a part of what it is that you're doing?
I mean, I tried to master that, and sometimes I went at that, and other times it wasn't effective. But you just want to make people work, physicality. But it was in an era where you can still be somewhat physical. But I hard foul. You know what I mean? It wasn't dirty, it wasn't blatant. But if Cole hits 6 or 8 on me straight, the next one is going to be a hard foul. And I think guys that I was guarding knew that. Some guys, it may have worked in or deterred or stopped them from coming downhill. But at the end of the day, man, these guys are tremendously skilled. And again, my job night in, night out was to guard the best. So, I just had to be ready every single night for whatever was coming and try to match it with, attitude, energy, and heart.
Matt, are you in a rush to the airport because your driver is driving very fast? I'm guessing you have to be going at least 92 miles per hour, no?
No, and you never get to go that fast in LA. We're going 63. I'm actually headed to the Rich Eisen show right now, so
oh wow,
I do this on the move.
Joel Embiid has lost 25 to 30 pounds. Is that good or bad?
I think it's good. I think the knock on him has always been tremendously skilled. One of the most skilled bigs we've ever seen, but he doesn't put the work in the off season to work on his game and take care of his body as high as he should be. And again, that's just what I've heard. I've never witnessed it, so that's not coming. That's from the few people that have kind of when I inquire about him has been the knock on him. But if this is something that he put the work in the summer, obviously getting an Olympic gold medal as a part of the United States, I'm very excited about this team. About how Paul George will fit in and how Maxey takes that next step with back to having 2 other superstars next to him. So, Philly can be a very interesting team if they stay healthy. And I'm really overall just excited to get the season going. But, yeah, happy to hear that Joel lost that weight. Hopefully that'll take some pressure off his knees because I get scared every time I see him play. When he runs or falls, I'm just kind of like gritting my fist like, man, I hope he's okay. So, if he can take a little bit of weight off and make it a little easier on his body, I'm all for that.
2 more questions before we get you out of here. I don't think that you played with Dikembe Mutombo, but do you have any overheard stories or any favorite story regarding Dikembe Mutombo?
I grew up watching Mutombo and, saw him at the very end of his career when he was out and I was, trying to establish myself in, but obviously one of the greatest, shot blocker, rebound guys, defensive anchors we've ever seen, 4-time defensive player of the year. But what I will actually, I can't even tell that story.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. All the smoke, all the stars, all the stories, no apologies. It's a coffee table book. You got to give us the story. You can't do it that way, Matt. You can't do it that way.
Hold on. You have to answer this question from me. Is he married? Was he married when he passed?
Well, is it a Who Wants to Bleep Mutombo? Is that the story? Or you got to
it was just every time I saw Mutombo, he was always accompanied by some attractive people.
Yes.
Put it that
all
way.
right. We can put it that way. All right.
Yeah, so I want to keep it very respectful. But Mutombo, great guy on and off the court. Obviously a giant in this space and will definitely be missed. And it really hurts. I lost my mom to cancer and what cancer has been doing to this country is terrible, man. So I'm wishing the best for, everybody involved and we will miss the big fella.
No, Mike, I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
You happy you did that?
No, I'm not happy. I did that. I didn't know. I thought it was something else. It was my fault. No, I'm not happy I did that. No, I'm not.
The body is still warm, man.
And I probably shouldn't even took it that far. But again,
it's my fault.
You started.
You
didn't
stopped.
Want to.
You didn't want to. It's my fault. You shouldn't have done that, but I shouldn't have done that. Now
There's plenty of blame to go around, guys. All right.
We're finger pointing at each other. I'm accountable. It starts with me. Let me play this sound of Draymond Green and reporter, longtime columnist Scott Ostler of the San Francisco Chronicle. Let's play this sound for Matt.
People worry about you. Fans, maybe your teammates.
Why they worry about me? I am a successful black man in America doing incredibly well. What's the worry?
They worry about you.
There are way more people in this world to worry about than me. That's for sure.
But we're here now. So
we're all here. I don't think you should worry about me.
Okay.
I'm doing pretty well. If you would have told me when I was 13 years old in Saginaw, Michigan, without a pot to piss in, that you'd be sitting here and somebody would say they're worried about you, I would have probably told them they were out of their mind. I think my mindset has helped us do some great things. It's pretty cool. So, it's all about how you spin it. I love how you try and spin it, but it ain't my spin to it, player.
So good.
What do you think? It's a good dismount. Calling someone a player at the end there is sarcastically wonderful and dismissive. Matt, what did you think of that?
I loved it. But also, I think I understand what he was trying to ask. He was obviously trying to ask, is this team going to be able to count on you? Or are you going to be able to be on the court? Are you going to keep your energy and your emotions in check? But I think the way he tried to label it was wrong. So I love the exchange. I thought it was great. Again, if the guy would have framed the question a little different, I'm sure he would have got a different answer. But if you want to go with Draymond, that's not a battle you're going to win most of the time.
Gonna let him go on that note. The interview with Kamala Harris is at All the Smoke Productions on YouTube. The coffee table book is All the Smoke, All the Stars, All the Stories, No Apologies. They've got a new vertical with Andre Ward. It's All the Smoke Fight. It's at ATS Fight on YouTube and Instagram. And they've got a live tour. You could get tickets for next Monday in New York City, next Wednesday in Philly at allthesmokeproductions.com/tour. And congratulations on the baby. I do not know how you're not exhausted. I do not know how you've got too much going on, sir. Good seeing you. Thank you for making the time.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Thank you, Matt.
Lucy, you also are tired, and you don't have as much going on as Matt Barnes, but you have worked 14 straight days, and you seem that you were as tired as Greg Cody today. It seemed like you, a young person, an alleged young person, you had the bones and spiritual makeup of a fossilized Greg Cody today.
I may not have interviewed a presidential candidate this week, but I did interview a lot of drunk people, and that might actually be more difficult, potentially.
I agree, yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that he's more busy than I am.
Journalism. Lucy, before you go, I have a question for you that I think you might be interested in regarding the big news out of the Pac-12.
Yeah, they added Gonzaga.
Yeah, you know what they say. Big Ten zigs, Pac-12 zags.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That wasn't a question.
What do you make of that? Well, no, I was going to get to it.
One of the things, Greg, that I always find funny about this obsession that we have with America's most popular sport, while most of us watching have a very remedial understanding of how things happen. So Mike McDaniel 4 games ago knows how to do something that no one else knows how to do, and now Kevin O'Connell knows how to do something that no one else knows how to do.
For now.
Yeah, for now. It changes from day to day, but there was a guy who ran this division, the AFC East, for a long time, who has universal genius, who's now unemployed in football genius. And the reason he had it is because he figured out, once upon a time, what McDaniel figured out with Tua, he figured out with Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady never got hurt except for that one season. And that one season, Bill Belichick, who had expertise on both sides of the ball, went 10-6 or 11-5 with Matt Castle. But the nature of that genius that we don't understand. I want to play for you a story from Bill O'Brien, who's now at Boston College. And Bill O'Brien is talking about their quarterback room. And I want you to hear what a caveman genius Bill Belichick was when he tells this story with Julius Edelman about Matt Castle and Julian Edelman about Bill Belichick.
There's a lot of good coach stories. I can remember like the quarterback meetings when I first got there. So that was Tom, Matt Castle, who you know is one of the funniest human beings of all time. Up there with Matt Light, Rich Ornberger, like those three guys.
Outrageous.
These are very funny guys.
They're funny guys.
As you know, Bill would come in later in the week, meet with the quarterbacks, and Bill would take his shoes off. And Bill, as you know, Bill didn't wear socks.
Yeah.
So and at that time, the quarterback meeting room was pretty small. And so I remember this one meeting, and Matt Castle was like, "What is that smell?"
like, what is that smell? And like nobody says anything, and we're all like, Matt Castle, he was the very funny guy who didn't care about making anyone uncomfortable. He loved making you, and so he was like, no, seriously, like, what is that? Bill, is that your feet? And Bill, I'll never forget this. Bill looked at him and goes, Castle, just shut the f*** up. I was like, it was like my first year there, and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm witnessing this right now. But as time went on, you could believe it.
Julius Edelman would be like Randy Moss.
He would look like Randy Moss. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Would Julius Edelman look exactly like Randy Moss?
A different guy.
Again, though, the top of the AFC East for 20 years, stinky feet genius who communicates by telling somebody, shut the bleep up, because his feet stink. And I'm when I ask you guys the measurement of genius in that sport, is it just whoever's winning at that moment who surprised you because you didn't think they were going to be any good?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because Brian Flores is now that guy. So they're 4-0 all of a sudden. And that big interview we did with Tua before the season, where Brian Flores has to come out with his soldiers at his side to defend himself, that was 4 games ago.
Yeah.
And now Brian Flores, everybody's saying because they're 4-0 and no one expected the Vikings to be any good. As soon as they're up 28-0 and we can't explain Sam Darnold, it's got to be the coaches. Must be the coaches. How'd they get to 4-0? But explain this part to me. Shanahan had Darnold. Why didn't that become a thing?
Shanahan was backing up Brock Purdy.
But Shanahan's the genius.
Yeah. Right, but he had Purdy in front of
Purdy.
Darnold.
He wasn't really playing that.
Right. Yes.
He wasn't getting the opportunity, and he looked fine when he did come in.
But Sam Darnold was beaten out by the guy who was the last pick in the draft.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that there was ever a competition. I think the timeline is like he came in to back up. Like the understanding was you're backing up Brock Purdy because we made this run with Purdy. But I understand what you're getting at, but Sam Darnold is getting an opportunity, and quite honestly, I don't even know if he's getting this opportunity if J.J. McCarthy doesn't get hurt in the preseason.
No, J.J. McCarthy was supposed to start.
They had the kind of like succession plan, like we'll start with the veterans, see if this high ceiling veteran.
Right. Yeah.
Keep in mind, Sam Darnold's still very young. He's younger than Joe Burrow.
I know.
Give him the 4 games, and then everybody would get frustrated and want the young guy in there.
I think the question you're asking is why didn't Darnold work with the Jets? But we know the answer to that.
No, what I'm asking is how you guys measure any of this stuff that makes it an indicator that somebody who's a coach isn't a fool like you were telling me McDaniel sounded like at the end of the press conference after 2 scoreboards come out, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought this guy could produce point totals with anybody. I thought that was the trick that he had. He can make any offensive line run the ball. He can make these receivers look like they're the fastest team in the league because of all their timing and scheming.
Well, Darnold has Justin Jefferson, which sort of helps. But I think one of the stories in the league is that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are reinventing themselves and reinventing their reputations. These are the guys who were busts. These are the guys we all wrote off. They're going to be career backups from here on in, and they're both like really, really good right now.
Really good. If you watch them, it's not just gimmicky things. Like they're making individual plays that make you believe, like, okay, maybe these guys figured it out. What I am astonished by is Tepper and Carolina. They had a plan. Let's take these guys that still have talent. We remember our evaluation process when they got into the draft, and things went a little sideways for them at their previous spots. But we think that we can win with these guys, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And that's how bad things are at Carolina, because we wrote them off for dead. Their careers are over after what we saw in Carolina, and they both have reshaped themselves after multiple spots thereafter.
But so much of this with the coaching has to do with the timing. Dan Quinn has been a head coach before. He wasn't very good. Now he's going to be the coach for the Commanders for the next 15 years because he has Jaden Daniels.
That helps, and when Mike Ryan mentions Carolina, it doesn't help that Sam Darnold went – what Greg Cody's analysis just was of Justin Jefferson helps. I think Robbie Anderson was Sam Darnold's best receiver in Carolina, or close to it. Close to it.
And the Jets.
Yes, and the Jets.
They had Baker Mayfield running DN drills on scout team in Carolina.
The idea that we know, that we have enough information to know how Stinky Feet Genius runs a division for 2 decades, and then the entire league tells us, yeah, he's not that much of a genius anymore. He doesn't actually know more than anybody. Don't want him running our team right now.
Well, how smart was he when Brady left the team and went to Tampa Bay, and then Bowles became the guy?
Yes.
By the way, the two guys that are kicking ass with Minnesota, Flores and their head coach, O'Connell, like those are Belichick guys. Belichick brought Kevin into the league. Brian Flores was a tremendous defensive coordinator for Bill Belichick. So maybe we can revisit that take too.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Ryan, and I want to tell you about two of my favorite things, football and Miller Lite. And when you combine the two, that makes for one heck of a Miller time. See, Miller Lite has great taste, but is also less filling. And football, well, it's just spectacular from start to finish. You put those two things together, you've already carved out a perfect day. Miller Lite keeps things simple with undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that actually tastes like beer. Make your game time taste like Miller time. Tastes great and is less filling. Let it be both. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.